Welcome to the next episode of Brothers, Battles, and Bounty, where family, business, and the journey to success all integrate together. We as your hosts, me, Andreas,
Anton,
Stefan, Martin,
all of which are brothers with the same mother and are in business together in the United States of America, running a manufacturing facility that delivers products all over the world. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about what it takes to run a family business, at least from our perspective. And with that, and no further ado.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of started out in the beginning was, we're manufacturers. Me being, having a background in engineering, coming into the business, we wanted to keep manufacturing here in the USA. Here in Chicago, we were born and raised here, and we wanted to keep manufacturing here. And that was a tough challenge because at that time, in like the mid 80s is when importing really started to become, a factor. And we decided that, doing a hybrid manufacturing where we had to import also. We all knew we had to do that. We just didn't want to bring in, the complete product and sell it. And a lot of our competitors, as you remember, they offshored everything. They got rid of their capital. Yeah. They got rid of everything. And we decided to do the hybrid. And I think that, the structure of doing that, I think is probably one of the biggest reasons why, we're here today.
That reminds me of the fact that our brand, the Trendler brand, is primarily make to order. Maybe we make product to order. When we started with swivels and accessories from the early 60s to the mid 80s, we wouldn't make for stock. We would people would call us and order up exactly what they need, which has served us very well. And we just extended that into when we were manufacturing chairs and bar stools as made to order. People can choose what they want. And we always emphasize good value, competitive pricing. We weren't always the cheapest, but we were always competitive. And, people could get the product on time when they needed it. So those were some of the keys, and that's served us well and continues to serve us well.
And thinking back on it, not to contradict what you said, we used to, when the Chinese or when the imports started coming in, we felt that we had to mass produce parts because that's how you became efficient and that's how you reduced the costs. And we used to stamp out hundreds of thousands of swivel plates, not knowing whether someone wanted a swivel with a flat pitch or a 3 degree, but hey, just keep stamping, get the efficiencies. And we realized that wasn't the answer. And then we went into, hey, let's just go to make to order. And I just remember everybody, even our employees, are like, what do you mean make to order? We can't set up a 1,200 ton press and run 1,000 pieces and then stop.
That's the time where we embraced the Toyota way, which talked about one-piece flow. Right. Herbie, what was the book with by Goldrath?
Who Ate My Cheese?
No, that was another one. Anyway, it was one where it basically talked about you design the manufacturing facility to just make one piece. You go through the whole process, and we started
one-piece flow,
doing rather than mass producing. We started making to order, and I remember when we were confronted with the international threats. We obviously have been going there. I remember going to China, touring factories, and go there one time, and they're literally primitive. I mean,
that was what? That would have been in the when did we go? In the late 80s?
Anton and I went
90s.
To Taiwan first time in May of 1992.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
That's when Anton we were looking at casters and different things.
So we toured a lot of the factories, and what you were talking about is Elijah Goldrath. Theory of constraints.
And
so what we learned from there is, in order to make one at a time, what was the constraint that was keeping us from making one at a time? And that allowed us to start bringing that
changed
talent to
our
the entire
manufacturing
way.
philosophy and
Absolutely.
really made our hybrid manufacturing successful.
And I recall getting the book, all of us reading the books
Right.
that were, and
And
then
then
taking them
discussing
and then
it.
discussing it and then incorporating what
Yeah.
we needed.
And we knew we couldn't incorporate everything verbatim.
No.
You know, we
No.
kind of did a hybrid of the hybrid. You
Yeah.
know, we took what worked for us.
But I remember, as I was saying, going to China one time, seeing the factories there, and really primitive. I mean, archaic, welding with no welding masks and cardboard and all these things. And I remember thinking, this is crazy. And then going back 6 months later, and that same factory had automation.
different.
Completely different. I remember going back to a hotel room one night, and I literally was like, we're done. We're done. They were selling it, importing it to the U.S. at a price that was less than what our total costs were on an import. So I went, so that's when, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And we all kind of banded together and started focusing
doing
on the
the hybrid.
operations, and that kind of got
What
things.
can we? What things were labor intensive that
Mhm.
that we can bring in, and we wanted to be in control of the complete process of a chair. We want to do the welding. We want to do the painting because welding, the structure of a chair of ours. That's something fails there.
We
not
started
good.
to realize that the operations that we had to add value. We took out a whole bunch of things that we were doing, all kinds of activities that were costing us money and not adding any value.
So I remember us going through the value analysis process, just like you're talking
Yeah.
about. That was so back in the day. One other thing I was to say is, as we evolved through, we then started to get people involved, the other teams, and helping us integrate, and then focusing on our customers.
So that was
vendors.
that was my question, Anton. How, when you were president, were you able to communicate through the org structure these different theories and concepts to implement, on the floor?
Well, in the beginning, it was a little rough. It was pretty much, a directive, and realized then we needed to get teams of people and get their input because they had all the essence and nuances of what they did day in and day out. And by understanding their challenges and their problems in the detail that they have, to solve them for them or help them listen to their ideas and implement that, we eliminated a lot of different.
You're talking about the employees.
The employees on
in
the
plant.
floor.
Yeah.
both the lead men and actually the employees
Right.
themselves that would do the day to day. This is holding me up. They're not bringing me the material in time. I'm sitting there waiting, or I have to load my own fixture and everything. I'm not producing. Or the Jeep drivers driving around, moving stuff all over the place. We don't get paid. Our customers don't pay us
You
for
remember the
moving stuff.
spaghetti diagram we did
Yeah.
on the product flow to
on
our
how
plant
it
before
flowed.
we.
You got to expand on that. I'm not familiar. I don't
So,
remember.
during this whole process, the employees were telling us, "Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this," and I believe in the book it was, what you want to do is you want to try to track the flow
Develop a graph
of product
the actual flow of each piece, where it goes, and
in your plant throughout your whole plant.
And it looked like
From
a spaghetti bowl.
And yeah,
Go
literally.
back and forth.
And you
around.
literally track it or where it goes, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought we produce, assemble it here, and then it goes right to shipping and goes out the door. No.
No.
That thing was going, it was like, wow.
It woke us up to what we thought we were, that it, excuse me, what the operation is supposed to be, or the product flow, to what it actually was happening. And we need to give them the tools and rearrange the plant so that it would be a
so
smoother
graphically it went from being a spaghetti bowl to now linear connections that
There was some
Sim-
movement, but
Yep.
it didn't have the,
flow.
yeah, it
didn't
just-
have the spaghetti bowl.
right.
And how would that have affected our customers?
Well, we were able to deliver faster, and we were able to then become more competitive, lower some prices,
Costs,
more.
right?
We were able to manufacture some components and parts that we couldn't get into because we just weren't competitive.
We went from a 5 to 6 week lead time to at one point we were down to 1 to 2.
Wow.
you know, and you know that resonated, you know, to customers because it's like, well, what do you mean I can get it in, you know, 2 weeks? You know, I don't need it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
And then our employees, they appreciate it because they weren't working as hard and running around. It all made a lot more sense, and they were working more efficiently
overtime
themselves.
was practically gone.
Wow.
You know, just it's
Then it helped us integrate more too. What I recollect is with the suppliers. We were always waiting. We can't produce this because
Yeah.
the suppliers. So then we started making the relationship with the suppliers more connected, and
having the right suppliers
that was night and
was,
day.
you know, it's not always about who can you buy it from the cheapest.
Oh, no.
Price is important. We all know that.
Oops. All right, fine. Yep.
But who can we depend on? Who
Reliability.
can we, you know, so many people just look at transactions and don't look at the big picture. And for us, we realized having the relationship, because all vendors are great when things are good.
Mhm.
But when things turn bad, that's when you find out how good your vendors are.
Well, I remember
and,
we
you know,
went
setting
from,
up good
yeah.
ones was just another piece of the puzzle
Filtering
for
it.
us. I mean, we got
Filtering it
vendors
through.
we've been doing business with for what? Some of them 35 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went from being transaction oriented to cutting a PO to then focusing on developing contracts with the suppliers, which allowed them to forecast their needs. And we,
Mhm.
you know, consolidated the commodities and kind of worked with them to design the sourcing plan that worked for them, but also clearly worked for us. That was a big
So,
transition.
so when and what was the catalyst that caused us to make that transformation?
Well, the pressures from China, from overseas, we had to. I mean, to this day, it still hasn't stopped. I mean,
Right.
we're constantly having to, you know, reinvent what we're doing just to, you know, reduce costs and stay competitive. It's just been a never ending, you know, journey for us. And, you know, that's the great thing about what we do is we can adapt quickly.
And when we made a commitment to start focusing on a make versus buy analysis, we decided we want to make 100%.
Yeah.
But then we said, well, okay, is this naive or is this smart? Then we said, if we could buy it cheaper, we want to analyze how they're able to do it cheaper than us. So through this make versus buy analysis, we now have the
The hybrid.
capability of sourcing everything or making everything. And what we ended up doing was developing a system that incorporated
Both.
the best of both. So I mean that was huge
Because
too.
we wanted to keep our, you know, Dad was always adamant about, you know, employing people here in the U.S., keeping jobs,
Yes.
keeping things going. And, you know, that's in each one of us. You know, we all had that same goal and objective. And, you know, as opposed to, you know, just thinking about the almighty bottom line, which is still important.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you know, for every job we create here, you know, that's creating another job in the community.
Yeah, I've heard statistically that every manufacturing job creates 7 other jobs indirectly, like through transportation
Right.
or procurement or service, and 7 to 1. That data is like early 90s, so I don't know if it's
It's
currently
still relevant.
I would think it's still pretty
applies.
relevant.
So with
What do you guys? Sorry, go ahead. I was
So what we're through your engineering and our tooling and everything, we were looking at these various different products that we're making, and we wanted to keep as much in-house as we had. So we saw, like what you were saying, is when we had something that we looked at as an import, we always wanted to make as much as we could in-house. That's where we invested in different plastic injection molding machines, tube bending equipment, all the things that we had to keep the manufacturing. We invested in that capital to keep the manufacturing here in Chicago, in the USA, with our employees
And being competitive.
and being competitive.
We
So,
weren't
right,
the
we-
cheapest,
right.
okay,
Right.
but we were competitive, and that's the, you know, that's the
competitive, and it allowed us, a big part of why we did it with all the make versus buy analysis we did. I don't know if you guys remember, we ended up making way more than what we were buying.
Yeah.
We were buying the tubes cut to size with the chamfer on it. We bought all the equipment. We made all that. Plastic injection molding parts, we were buying that all over the place. We did all our own plastic injection molding. We were buying all the powder coating. You remember
Yeah,
that nightmare? Oh my gosh! And then
We
just
integrated all the
kept
processes
integrating.
into the.
One of the biggest factors of us bringing it in-house too is that we controlled it.
Yeah.
When something went down, we had first priority. Whereas when we were buying it on the outside, we were at the whims of what they
Right.
had 3 other bigger customers than us. So we had to wait.
Yep.
And that wasn't our model, our business model. Our business model was to get it done economically and get it to our customers when they wanted or needed it.
And we knew we had to be self-sufficient in all the stuff that we were doing. We couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we had a semi truck that was just hauling parts back and forth to the plate or the
Painter,
powder
painter.
coater all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so the wear and tear, and it just.
The cost.
I remember us, I don't remember exactly when, but it was a while ago where we discussed the, anytime a product had a very high volume of sales with a very high direct labor rate, it lent itself to importing, okay? So we would take a look at high volume, high direct labor, try to automate like the tube bending, X1R, X2R equipment. And if and where we couldn't automate something to get the direct labor costs down because it was a high percent, we would look at importing it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
A portion of it.
Portion of it. And that always
Yeah.
served us very well to maintain our manufacturing presence and also be able to get our customers the quality, the lead time, the pricing, and everything they're used to with us controlling the process.
One of the things that we discovered too is that when we were importing a lot of these, we all of a sudden were only looking at the transaction cost. We were not taking a look at how much we had to inventory, how long it took to wait for it, how much of this material became obsolete because we had to bring in so many different parts and components. And Marty, being the engineer, we were able to take that and bring that in-house and then be able to take a look at the true cost. What did it cost us, to take up 20,000 square feet of our space out there to store this stuff, to order 60, 90 days worth of material in-house? What did that cost us?
Carrying
And,
costs, right?
The carrying costs on stuff, which we weren't looking at until all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, what's this thing cost us? Look at what we're throwing away here because it's gone bad. It got rusty or whatever because it was here for a while. So that also helped us to make better decisions in the hybrid manufacturing.
and then structuring our employees,
Right, that's
getting
what I
the
was
right
gonna-
people in our organization that fit to the culture of what we do.
Fit to the
And-
culture and to the discipline of hiring people smarter and better than us in the different disciplines, like our accounting and
Okay.
operations, and then starting to leverage the intellectual capital, the human capital that was the next big phase.
That was huge. That was huge.
And
Getting the employees involved in some of the stuff we were doing,
which
and also
position-
going.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
go-
sorry.
oh,
No,
go ahead.
that's which position within the company do you think we benefited from the most initially when on the hires?
That would have been mine.
Well,
I thought it would have been mine.
Well, no, I thought it was gonna actually be mine, but Anton,
It was
we know
definitely
that-
not mine.
No, well, to answer to kind of prime this question, one of the thoughts I thought was when we went to professional accounting.
Yeah, I was going to say
And-
outside.
Yeah,
So
so
Outside vendors.
professional
Counsel.
accounting helped us start to integrate our financial reporting to industry standard and started to really be super data driven and focused on how
Well, we
we're-
focused on the three: accounting,
Yeah,
legal,
Legal was huge.
and
Banking.
and the banking.
right.
And we said, I don't know if you guys remember, we were going to interview a minimum of 3 companies in each field, and then we were going to pick the best of the best that fits us. Not necessarily, oh, they're the biggest law firm, they're the biggest accounting firm. No,
What fits?
what is the best fit for us?
Who remembers the process that we used and still use to this day on selecting? We come up with a pool of
Well, we
Yeah.
we
so like
chose
for example, banking. We would bring 5 banks in.
right.
We'd interview them, talk to the key decision makers, have them answer questions and how can they
We
help
grill
us.
them pretty good.
Grill them pretty good, and then
We have
afterwards,
fun. I remember it was pretty
Yes.
fun.
Well, we
And-
had 4 of us working. So I mean,
and then afterwards, when they left, what do you think? We rated them, and then we selected them,
Yep.
and
we
then
narrowed
we
it down and
Yep.
then brought them in again. And
we did that with our accounting. We did that with our legal. We did that with other primary
Banking.
suppliers.
Big
and at the
benefit
end,
for us.
at the end, what we developed was the best professionals to suit us at that time. But then we had a backup, always
Right. We always had to back up to the
backup
Contingency planning.
contingency
Yeah.
plan, and to this day, that served us. We almost it's like a knee jerk reaction. We need a professional, then we're got us a project. We know what to do.
well, we
You know?
had it back in the 80s. All of a sudden, a bank pulled back from us. So we don't support manufacturing anymore. And
Yeah.
they had some new management, and so they raised our rates 3% back in the 80s.
Yeah.
3-5%. It was we couldn't do it. So it's like, why don't we have a backup? My God, going out to try and find
sure.
a bank after somebody tells you
What do
that
they
they
call
don't
that
want
in
to support
sports?
you.
They call that
BT, your
bench strength. Having a strong bench.
bench. Right.
We developed a good bench going forward. So so the human capital part,
Human capital, outside,
professionals,
professionals,
suppliers,
Yeah.
customers.
customers.
Having
were
the right
big-
customers.
Yeah,
is,
that was a
you know,
tough lesson to learn. The
yeah.
right customers. I remember XYZ company, which was the biggest account that we had, but we weren't really making money on them. But we thought we needed them because there were so much gross dollars.
First time I heard, sometimes you got to fire some of your customers. I was like, I got into a big argument.
like
Yeah, fire my customer. You can't fire my customer. And then all of a sudden, as we were sitting there and we talked about, all of a sudden, I don't want to say the customer, but it came up and we're talking about it. It's like, we got to fire him.
Yeah.
What the heck are we
And what
doing?
happened? We fired them, and then what happened?
We started.
They
making-
came- well,
oh, they
We
came
we
made,
made money.
them finally
They
started
came back
profitable.
and turned into profitable.
business.
businesses.
Yeah. Whereas before they were taking advantage of it. We allowed them to do
And
that.
I think the term fire a customer, clearly we have done that, but most importantly, who can we serve to be profitable? And the profits are what we use to reinvest in the company, become better.
Yes.
And then who appreciates the services we provide enough to where we can run and pay their bills? Getting rid of somebody because they don't
we,
pay a
we
bill. and
realize
stuff.
that we have, it's a two-way street. It's not, the customer comes to us and we want to serve them in any way. And the customer also has to realize, that this is a partnership in trying to make it work, just like we do with our suppliers.
Yeah.
And so we took that same supplier mentality and then took it
And
to
we
our
still
customers.
go above and beyond for our customers.
Yeah.
We
Even
do.
it's just a few of them got to a point where it was just
Another part of the
but
structure.
We
We
allowed
do.
it. We
they allowed it.
we
Right.
allowed it.
Yeah,
Right.
another
We allowed
part of
it.
the structure regarding customers, credit. We would sell everybody on credit terms.
Yeah.
Net 30, and they pay a net 60 or.
Well, that was a good one.
Right. So the point is just managing the accounts receivable.
Right.
Yes,
That
that
was-
was
that
huge.
And that was, the evolution we went through with that.
Yeah.
At any one time, accounts receivable, that was a majority of all the future revenue we had coming in.
We
We didn't sell
realized that.
anything for cash.
And we
didn't sell
realized we had to keep our cash flow going. And
Right.
here, this
Yeah.
is just let them know up front what
Right.
it is that our expectations are. We understand your expectations, and together we'll
Right.
make it work. So,
And we really evolved excellent. That's one of your
So,
specialties in managing the
Well,
accounts receivable.
Our
Right.
our
Thank you.
structure
Yeah.
is really the brothers, and then we have our senior leadership team, the management team, and then we
yes,
have the leads on the floor, and then the direct labor down there. And you look at the flow of information down and up, and
And
you
you
look
look
at-
direct labor. So I get excited about talking about this, and we worked very hard to achieve this. In direct labor, where union shop and union is great.
Yep.
And a lot of times unions get a bad rap, but we really, really like the partnership that's been established. But with our direct labor, we have specialists, but we also have the ability to we cross-train them so
Cross-train.
they could do so many other things so that when the demand shifts to another area, our labor's moving
That
with
cross
it.
training was a
Cross-training was
like
like
huge.
an arrow in the quiver of
but it wasn't the
hitting
easiest
bullseye.
thing because
No.
people, you had some people that just, hey, I like doing this and that's all I want to do. I don't
Yeah.
want to do anything
We
else.
got a
Right.
great
And-
group of
and,
people.
It took a while, but yeah, that was a huge
Yeah.
Great team.
huge
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
Setting up the structure to do that, and
What about other parts of the structure related to customers as it applies outside of our
I
company?
think we're doing a better job than ever before, and we've been doing this a long time, in connecting our customers' wants and needs with our people out on the shop floor. And they know, certain customers require certain because everything we do is
custom.
special,
Yeah.
made to order, and our customers are connected to our direct labor is
Employees.
connected to our customers, our management team, everyone, and it's really what our brand is all about.
Yeah.
It's really the strength of our brand.
Our
Is that
managers and our employees are part of the sales team.
Customer
They're
driven.
part of the customer service. They know who they're serving, and they serve each other.
Yep.
To make sure
We share
that
a lot of
ultimately
information
get
with the employees. I mean, obviously, certain
Information,
information
right.
is
Is-
confidential, but we do share a lot of information with the employees on the business.
I see we've developed like a macro organism where we have all these different channels, the markets, the suppliers, the customers, the employees, the banks, the professionals. I mean, and everybody's integrated into a complete whole, and we're always integrating this connection and improving on it as we go. And in regard to structure, I think we've kind of addressed 50,000 foot good sense of what our structure comprises of. And in regard to teeing us up for the next big thing we have to discuss, we don't have time right now to address it, but I think it's kind of can get us focused on some of the international and hybrid specialization that we have, along with a multitude of other subjects
Yeah.
we can
Yeah,
discuss.
I think one of our strengths is just being able to adjust to the market, to our customers, because it's constantly changing. Our world is changing. Our industry is changing. The dynamics of our people and managers are changing, and constantly
Yep.
just addressing that and making it better. It's constant change. It'll never end.
No,
So focusing on our future is key, and us continuously improving. Us working integrated together is awesome, and it's really an honor to be part of this podcast. Addressing brothers, battles, and bounties, which is a great way for us to continually improve by delving into these issues. So with that being said, is there any closing comments to kind of wrap this session up?
just closing comment of making sure that we continue to adapt to the changes that are around us, because like all of you mentioned, it's happening, changing every day.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key things is having our structure set to where we can react quickly.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen.
I ditto.
Awesome. So with that, thank you all for taking the time to join us during this podcast of Brothers, Bounty, and Battles. Boy, that's a tongue twister. I tell you what, after talking so much, it's hard to get them all online. As a family business, we again just want to thank you for taking the time. If you have any comments, please forward them. We will make it a priority to address any questions you might have. And please watch us on any medium that presents podcasts. And thank you for your time. We look forward to you join us on future podcasts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.